Three, two, one. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to a special edition of February's workshop of today's sovereign confidence workshop for men. As promised, at the end of the month, we will be doing okay. Getting Doc right over here. Boop. Doc should be coming on, guys. If you're watching this on TikTok, go on to our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel, Boundaries and Brotherhood. Get your questions asked. But today we got a special thing going on. We got a special workshop. Slides are done. Our commentary is done. Everything should be. Doc, I can't see you. It has
It's still
it has FCS LLC there. Oh, there you go. Turn on the camera, my brother. But we got the slides working out. Doc. When you look at everything that's going on, right? Have you ever felt like your own thoughts holding you back? Today we're going to discover how this pertains to you and the men in your life, or even your situation and God going on. Doc, while I get us set up technically, what is this workshop going to be about? What we're going to be doing, and how you can move forward with being the best version of yourself.
all right. So you started off asking the question about your thoughts, getting the best of you and holding you back, and yeah, that's exactly what happens. A lot of us, we think ourselves out of things. And to be 100% honest with you, it's like a blessing and a curse. People who are like really smart, it's a blessing and a curse because they will literally think and process their way out of things. They'll process their way out of relationships, out of opportunities, off of growth, out of getting help from through mental health, because they will find all these different, what about this and what about that? And they'll intellectualize it. And so, yeah, our thoughts can be very destructive, very, very destructive to us. And ultimately, they can keep us from being our best self. And so, yeah, today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be going into depth on that and talking about some of the different fallacies in our thinking and how it keeps us stuck. And we talk about covert contracts. We're going to be talking about all of these things, right? We're going to be talking about how you can recognize your thoughts and how they're hindering you. And we're going to be talking about how you can actually break out of that and truly become the 11th man or the sovereign man. So that's what you have to look forward to today.
Nice. And like, guys, if you're watching this live right here on TikTok right now, go on to our YouTube channel, get your questions answered, because we're going to be the workshop style. I can't have the slides on here on TikTok, but if you want to see it, you can also go on my Facebook page personally, and we're going to start getting on. What we do best, guys, is we help you get to a better place in life, because that's where me and Doc come from. And I want to say, what's up, Angie Mao? Hope you guys like it. Guys, I'm going to the workshop right now with the slides. So if you're watching this, like I said, Doc, if they're watching this live, tell them to go over, get your questions answered, because TikTok doesn't have that feature. But come find us on Facebook, get your questions answered, go on YouTube, share this if you're on TikTok. Doc, we're going to head on to the slides right now.
Okay.
Right? We're going to go.
Yeah, you can head over to Boundaries of Brotherhood or FCS LLC, either on Facebook or YouTube. On Facebook for me, obviously, if you know my name, Keith Fairclough, or on Facebook, it's Keith Anthony Fairclough Jr., full name. But, you could ask your questions there, make your comments, and we'll respond as we're going through the workshop.
We had like 50 comments last week. It's pretty good. All right, Doc, here's your first slide. Guys, if you're not watching this, please go on. I can't get on, but you can hear everything else going on. What does this explain? How do you earn? And what is this going to help us with?
All right. So this is the 11th man blueprint. And if you've been following us for any period of time, you've heard us talking about the 11th man or the sovereign man. And essentially, it's like, as the slide says, you're reclaiming your sovereignty. You're reclaiming your confidence. You're setting up your boundaries. You're getting to know yourself. You're being able to stand on your own 2 feet and have to look for external validation. You're recognizing your self-worth. So this is what this is all built into. And I love the saying right here where it says you don't earn your worth. What does it say? You recover it. Sorry, a little further away, right? And I would even go a little bit deeper to say you finally just accept it because it's already there. A bar of gold doesn't lose its value just because it's in dirt. It doesn't lose its
Mm.
value if you throw it in a sewage tank. The bar of gold is still a bar of gold. You might have to take it out, clean it up, maybe
Polish
shine
it
it,
up.
polish it or whatnot, but it still has that same worth and value. We're the same thing, right? That maybe your dirt is your trauma. Maybe your dirt is how you're thinking. Maybe your dirt is a lot of broken relationships in the past. Maybe your dirt is your low self-esteem because you can't see yourself as you actually are. And so as we go through this, the goal is to clean that dirt off of you so you can recognize the value that you intrinsically have already and stop trying to seek it from the outside through relationships, through sex, through money, through power, through all these other things that do not work.
Now, one of our main things is having these 7 pillars so you can have that understanding of yourself so that you can move forward with whatever, like Doc said, the self-esteem, whatever you got going on. Guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, go on to YouTube and watch the slides because we're running a full-on workshop presentation right now, but I can't get the slides on TikTok. But if you watch it on our Facebook page, Boundaries and Brotherhood, and on YouTube, you can see the slides that we're going to be talking about. Doc, what about the men or the people that the quote here is, you don't earn your worth, you recover it. How would we go about doing that?
Well, so as far as like how to recover it, and I'm sure we'll go into it in more in the workshop. So I'll just kind of briefly go over it. Again, it's recognizing that you already have intrinsic worth and value.
True.
It's something you just have to accept. It's not a thing you find. It's not a thing you build up. Your self-worth is not your confidence, and your self-worth is not your self-esteem. Confidence can go up and down. Confidence can be challenged. Self-esteem can go up and down. It can be challenged. Confidence is your belief in your ability to do the thing you say you're going to do, or the thing you've been tasked with or challenged with. That's confidence. That's all it is. That's all it is, right? Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Some days you're going to feel good. Some days you're not going to feel so good. If you were, 200 pounds, and ripped, when you're in college, and now you got a dad bod, your self-esteem might have taken a hit. It might have taken a hit. It's like, dang, bro, like, I don't like the way I look, right? But you can change that by getting in the gym, eating right, whatever, right? And so now you get back to your six-pack, dad bod gone. Now your self-esteem is back to normal, right? You're good, or it's higher. Your confidence, maybe you don't feel confident in yourself, but you start isolating the negative things that happen or the failures in your life and start looking at them as learning opportunities. You start attaching all the things you've succeeded with. You start doing that, and then you recognize you have the internal capacity to handle whatever comes your way. Confidence shoots through the roof, right? You overcome that challenge. You just keep going. Self-worth is not those two things. Right? Your self-worth is literally that. It's your intrinsic value that is already maxed out from the absolute beginning. Simply because you're alive, that's why you have worth. That's it. And then for those of faith, it's because God decided that you should exist at some point in time, right? Well, maybe not at some point in time because God has all knowledge, but in his grand design, you would already exist. He thought about you. The Bible says that when you were in your womb, I knew you, right? Before you were even born. Right. So, and for those who are more secular and don't believe in God or whatnot, you're as a human being, you still have intrinsic value. Your life has worth, right? Simply because you're a human, because you're alive, because you're a person, and you should be treated with such respect, and you should be honored, and you should be able to have boundaries and treated the right way as a result. So it's just about that's one of those things where you just have to accept. That's just it. Like, for an example, right? If I wanted to be a white man, I cannot be a white man. If I wanted to be an Asian man, I cannot be an Asian man. I am a black man. That's all I can be. Can I become more black? No. Can I become less black? No. I am just black. That's it. I just got to accept that. Right. So it's the same thing, right? It's the exact same thing with your self-worth. You just have to accept it. But unfortunately, again, it gets so muddy, right? And even use those examples, Gordon. Some people are ashamed of their race because of, or things like that. And so they want to act like this and do like that. But no matter how much you act or pretend, just like that, how much dirt gets on you, right? You'll never be that thing, right? So you clear this stuff off and accept your self-worth for just as it is. Like, I have value. I'm worthy of being treated properly. It's okay for me to be myself. It's okay for me to have boundaries. It's okay for me to lose people who don't want to be in my circle. That's okay. If they don't want to respect
sometimes it's better.
welcome me. They don't want to, they don't want to try to understand me. That is 100% okay.
Cool.
I'm not for everybody. I'm not for
That's
everybody,
cool.
but I
Absolutely.
know my worth and I know my value, and I'm not going to lower it for anybody. And I'm definitely not going to trade it for something that it has to be given anyways, right? Because a lot of times we trade our value and our worth for what we think is love, but it's not, because love has to be given freely, not something that can be bartered. So what you get is conditional love, and we'll talk about that later on, covert contracts and things like that. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but yeah, when it comes to self-worth, it's something that you have to just accept. You recognize that you have it and you accept it.
All right. I mean, it's all well said and done, because you got to understand, a lot of times most people don't have that tools. That's why we have this workshop going on. Doc, we're gonna change slides, Doc.
Yes.
Oops, wrong one, wrong slide. wrong button. The validation paradox. Please explain what this is, guys. If you're on TikTok right here, go on to YouTube, see what the slides is going on. I can't share the slides on TikTok, but I want you guys to enjoy this. If just not, at least hear what Doc is talking about, because this will help you in the game that you're in, whether it's becoming the 11th man, having the confidence, doing the things so that you can actually cash the check your ego and pride want to provide for you. Doc, validation is an inside job. Please explain the illusion, my brother.
So, remember I was talking about, guys, a little bit earlier about self-esteem and self-confidence and things like that. What do you think about, what is the key word when it comes to self-esteem, when it comes to confidence, when it comes to worth, what I use, right? It's self. That's the key word. Self.
Yep.
Right? It's my worth, my esteem, my confidence. I didn't say your worth, your value, or your confidence, or your self-esteem. It's not that, right? No, it's an inside job. It comes from us, right? So when it comes to validation, it has to come from us. Why? Because that's how we program our belief system. So this paradox, as you see here, this is about a belief system within you. If you already are insecure because you don't believe in yourself, this is what's going to happen. You're going to try to do everything in your power. You're going to try to do everything in your power to get external validation. Remember, it doesn't come from the outside. It's not going to work. This belief you have right here, and what you think you're doing, you're people pleasing, you're overworking, those things like that. You think it's going to solve that problem, but it doesn't. It does. And we'll go into that a little bit later on as well. That's not going to solve your problem. All it's going to do is, after you're done doing that, after you done sacrifice yourself and you sacrifice your dream and you sacrifice your energy and you sacrifice your money and you sacrifice everything, your emotions, your boundaries, everything, and you just pour everything out in your head. Now you think, man, I just did everything. So now I'm going to look to the outside, and now there should be all this approval. Now there should be all this appreciation. Now there should be all this love. Now my wife should be wanting to sleep with me every night, and my kids should love me, and my boss is going to give me a raise, and just everything is going to be great. And how often does that ever happen? Slim to none. If ever. Right. And a lot of times, even if it does happen, it's not to the same value, because what you do in your own mind is like, oh, I did all this and all you gave me is a little bit of that. So now there's the crash. And what do you say? Nobody cares. Nobody loves me, no matter how hard I work. It's not enough. I'm not enough. And you go right back into this. You have to understand, your body loves homeostasis. Your brain loves homeostasis. It does not like change, because change means it has to create new patterns. So what it does is, when it creates a pattern, it then generates thoughts and feelings, perspective, thoughts and feelings that then generate actions that reinforce what the belief is. So if you don't believe you're enough, all you're going to do, all your actions are going to do, is reinforce that you're not enough. You're literally going to look for more evidence that I'm not enough. They can't give you enough praise. She can't give you enough sex. They can't give you enough money. They can't give you enough hugs. They can't give you enough of anything, because you believe you're not enough. And it's something that's not enough. You can't fill it up. And like the example gives right here, you're trying to fill at the Grand Canyon with a dropper. That's what external validation is. It's a dropper, And here's the crazy part, because even if it does get to that level of being enough, that's not sustainable for the in the real world. I want all this praise and adulation. And then what you start thinking then, well, if I got all that, then I got to work even harder and harder and harder and keep sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing. And eventually you're just going to burn yourself out.
Yep.
So the crazy
say.
part is the thing, you're just trying so hard to get validation, but you're trying to get it externally. And when you try to get it externally, it doesn't work. It's an inside job that you have to give it to yourself. You have to know I'm enough already. I don't need anyone else to co-sign on me. And that's something I really need to drive this point home, guys. I really got to drive this point home. You know, whether you're a believer or not, right? So if you're a believer, if you're looking for external validation, the only external validation that even matters, it's not your wife, it's not your kids, it's not your pastor, it's not your congregation, it's not your job, it's not your community, it's not anything like that. The only external validation you will need if you're a believer is from God. That's it. And God tells you in his word exactly who you are. So you don't have to look any further as far as that's concerned. Now, if you're not a believer, ask yourself this question. Who on earth has the power and authority that is above all others that can say, yep, you're worthy now. You're enough now. What human in history? There's none. Not your father, not your mother, not your wife, nobody. No one has the authority to tell you that you're enough. So the thing that you're seeking after is impossible anyways, because no one has that authority. They're humans just like you're humans. They have the same DNA and the same blood, the same all that as you do. So by trying to seek external validation, you're on this hamster wheel. It's a paradox. It's impossible. You can't get it. No one has the power to even give it to you. You have to give it to yourself. You have to know that I'm enough. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. Too often, guys go on these dates. They want to cash these women out, the people pleasers. Oh, let me buy this expensive meal, and let me get you flowers and all this jewelry and all this and all that. You want to do all that, and then she's like, "Ha ha, I'm playing you. I'm gonna go do my own thing, and I'm gonna use you and go get with this other guy over here." And then you want to get online and talk crying about, "Oh, women are so this and women are so that and this and that." No, why are you trying to win something from her? It's simply, hey, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna be myself. You like me, you don't. If you don't like me, great, we keep it pushing. That's it, right? I'm not spending no $300 on a date. You're not my wife. You're not my wife. You know, I'm not cashing you out and taking you on the expensive vacations. You're not my wife. You know, so no, we're going to take it slow because I know myself. And if you're like, oh no, a man's got to do this, a man's got to do, you know what? Fine. If you want to do that, that's 100% okay. If you want to be a gold digger, if you're a woman and you want to be a gold digger, listen, that's 100% okay. There are some guys that will let you dig on them all day long. But no man should be going out there trying to earn someone's approval, trying to win her over. For what? No, I'm good enough as I am. If you don't like that, then forget it. That's good. You can go about your business until I find someone who's like, yeah, I love you for who you are. And then in turn, hey, I love you for who you are. And then we can build something together. So long story short, this whole validation paradox thing, that's what it is. It's impossible. You're never going to get out of it unless you start changing and looking for the internal validation. Know that I'm enough already instead of trying to seek it from people who can't even validate you in the first place.
That's so cool. But you know, I just did a faceless video with this, showing the scientific reasons why men chase the women to do that. And I just posted it like a day ago. Because the synapses of the nervous system, how it all creates and everything else. But Doc, from the workshop point of view, if you're falling into this paradox, what are 3 ways that they can get out of it fast?
Well, do we want to get to that now, or do we want to wait till we go through?
We can go through that. I mean, I just look at guys. If you're watching this on TikTok, go on to YouTube right now. Look on Boundaries and Brother Live, because we have a slideshow going on. I just can't put it on TikTok, and I just want to say, you're listening to this. I hope it resonates, because the slides is going to go to what we got going on Facebook. You can have your questions answered at the end, and YouTube right now on both my personal Facebook page and Boundaries and Brotherhood. And let's go to the next slide. Here we go. Oops. Boop. The nice, in fact, for the people on TikTok right now, try and describe the slides and what we're going to be talking about. So since they're hearing it like a podcast, maybe that might help them.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
So,
and our proud sponsors.
or
Underpop. I
or
own part of that company now. It's entertaining.
yeah.
All right, go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
So, no, you're fine. You're fine, man. So also for those on TikTok, I can explain the slides to you, but I mean these slides look really phenomenal, right? So I would highly recommend either coming to Facebook or YouTube or whatnot. But I know sometimes people only use like one platform. But in any case, so there's 3 archetypes, right? And on this slide, we have the nice guy, we have the jerk, and then we have the 11th man. And so let's start with the nice guy, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. Women do not want nice guys.
They want Chad. They call them Chads.
In fact, well, I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Right? That's what they think, right? That's what they think. What it looks like on the surface, right? But they don't want a nice guy. They want a guy that's nice. There's a difference. It's not the same thing.
Huge difference.
We'll go into it though. So a nice guy's a people pleaser. He's the one that goes absolutely above and beyond, seeking approval in every way, shape, and form. He's the one that he'll wait on you hand and foot. He's the one that will have no boundaries. He's the one that will not stand up for himself. He's the one that will always put himself on the back burner. That's who the nice guy is. The nice guy is not a nice guy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. A nice guy is not a nice guy, right? Right. And so it says like here, you get the results as far as that's concerned. Being a nice guy, has resentment. You end up either with resentment or in the friend zone. Right. And so the reason why I say a nice guy is not a nice guy is because a nice guy is not operating authentically. You're not your real self. You're not, and that's why. So if I'm coming to you and I'm operating under all these different guises, because I'll tell you what, gentlemen, if you're a nice guy, and you're wondering why you're having all these issues and problems, that's because you're not being authentic. You're not being your real self, which means you're living a lie, which means you're lying to the person you say you care about. That's not a nice guy. You want to be authentic. You want to be your full, real, raw self. You want to be like, have those boundaries and not let anyone run all over you. Women need that, right? And so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna jump to the next thing is the jerk, right? Because then a lot of nice guys, they'll look at the jerk, and the jerk is someone who has the false confidence. He acts out of fear. He's the one that sleeps around, smash and dash. He's the one that's doing all these things. He's dogging out women. He's probably the alpha male or whatever that garbage is, right? So that's who the jerk is, right? He's the one that's saying women ain't nothing, and you just got to treat them like hoes and stuff like that. That's the jerk, right? But what ends up happening with the jerk? So what happens to the jerk is he's also not necessarily a great person to be either. Right? Because you're operating out of fear. You're operating out, because I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. You don't open up and share your emotions. You're terrified of your emotions. You don't know how to articulate yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and be like, dang, if people really knew who I really was, they would absolutely hate me. If I took this mask off, they would absolutely hate me. And so, will women go to these guys, and will these guys bag a lot of women? Yeah, probably. Yeah. A lot of women who maybe aren't sure of themselves, they will. But women that can see through it, they'll be like, you're all talk, right? I can see right through you all day. So these guys, so the jerk actually doesn't go. So you were talking about the Chad, Gordon. Those guys don't go after women who actually know themselves, who are self-actualized, who love themselves. They don't go for women like that. They go for the ones that are traumatized. They'll go for the ones that don't know themselves. They don't have any boundaries. They don't have any worth. They don't know their worth. That's what those guys go for, because it's easy to manipulate them. I can cheat on you and come back and say, oh, baby, it was just it didn't mean nothing, and you're my world, and then she melts, and then he goes back, and he does it again, and he does it again, and he does it again, and then he leaves you, and then he does. That's what these guys do, right? And what's the result of that, of the jerk? Loneliness, right? Because at the end, then what do you say at the end? Like when he's ready to settle down, oh man, there's no good women out there. Mind you, after he's been destroyed how many different women? He didn't spend his whole life destroying women, and now he wants to get online and talk about how there's no good women out there. Bro, you done destroyed so many of them all this time because of your insecurities. So
exactly.
That's the jerk, right? We don't want to be that either. That's not a good thing. That's the opposite side of the spectrum. What you want to be is the 11th man. What you want to be is a sovereign man, right? A sovereign man, someone who's authentic. He's the guy that, hey, we're not going on no big, I'm not taking you to Golden Steer. I'm not taking you to Morton Steakhouse. I'm not taking you to Capitol Grill. I'm not dropping $500 on a first date. Sorry, we can get coffee or walk in the park. And if you don't like that, oh well. I'm gonna show up as my authentic self. If my style is to wear nice suits, I'm gonna wear nice suits. If it's to wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt, I'm gonna show up in that. If it's to wear anime shirts or whatever, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be my full authentic self. I'm gonna be real from jump. So there's not gonna be any surprises. There's not gonna be anything like that. And there's some women that are like, oh, maybe I can change them. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's an issue in and of itself that we don't have time to get into today. But no, don't do that. You have to love. I want you to treat it like this. I guess this is for the women, right? I was at a car when I got my car, my Camaro, Gordon, and I went to the guy. The guy's name was Tony Magri, right? I can never forget him. He was
never forget it. Huh?
One of the best salesmen I've ever dealt with my entire life. Why?
Okay.
Because he's real and authentic. So go there, tell him what I'm looking for. I say, I'm looking for a black Camaro with Inferno orange accents and things like that. He said, okay, cool. Right. Let me show you around, show what we got. So go and check out one car. It's this orange one, Summit white. Take it out for a spin, spins the tires, all that stuff. We come back. He says, what do you think? And I'm like, well, maybe, because I wasn't a sovereign man. I definitely wasn't a 11 man back then. But you know what he said to me? He said, if you don't absolutely love it out the gate, don't get it. That's it. Right.
There you go.
He's digging into his. He could have easily, suckered me and be like, "Oh yeah, no." He said, "No. If you don't, if I don't get a sale, it doesn't matter. If you don't love it out the gate, then
That's the best word to live by right there."
So I was like, "Okay, cool." So now he has that trust. He has that trust. And eventually I went and we were talking to him. He showed me my yellow Camaro. We did all the same stuff. Fell in love. How many years later I still have the car, right? But the point I'm trying to make is if you don't absolutely like that guy for who he is right out the gate and just take him as he is, then don't try to change him. None of that. I'm not saying improve bad things, but if you're not doing that, again, this is for the women, right? Then you can just walk away. Don't try to change me from wearing anime shirts. Don't try to change me from wearing suits. Don't try to change him from wearing basketball shorts. That's who he is. Now, if he wants to change and something like that, then you can work with him. That's who he is. But man, as the 11th man, it is not for you to be going around changing for everybody else. It's not for you to be trying to conform to everybody else. That's not the 11th man. That's how you become a nice guy. That's how you become a jerk. No, be your full authentic self. That's how you get respect. That's how you build security. That's how there's stability. Right. That's when opportunities come up. That's how trust is built. When you are your full authentic self. And an 11th man is a man who is kind, right? But he is nice, but he's not a nice guy. He's not that archetype, right? He's not a doorman. Right.
Look at my smile.
Yeah.
It's the same like the guys in the movie 300. The 300, they were born fighters. They breed to this. And he asked the guy, what are you? I'm a farmer. Well, you're not gonna. I would rather be a straight out warrior killer and have it under control than be a farmer going into a battlefield with no things.
Yeah.
You mean it's the same like the military guys. You rather be capable and have it in control than not capable and trying to be somebody you're not. That's the difference. That's a big difference. Absolutely. Because even like for myself, right? It's different when you can walk the walk, walk the talk, and have it under control, but just be capable to really do damage when you really want to. And that's full sovereignty right there. That's confidence.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. There's I think an old Chinese proverb. It says, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Right.
Absolutely.
And Jordan Peterson said something very similar, like the 11th man, a sovereign man, a man who knows himself. He's dangerous. He's not harmless.
He's in control.
Yep. He's in control. Right. That's what a sovereign man is. That's what an 11th man is. Someone who's in control. Yeah. I could do some serious damage if I needed to. I need you to know that I can do some serious damage if I needed to. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't have to, right? I can operate and move in certain ways, but press the right button, pull the right lever. You can get a whole nother, it's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story. So that's the point we want to get to.
I mean, it goes to show, guys, if this is resonating with you guys, go leave a comment on our Facebook group. You can get everything answered live right now since we're in a workshop. And for your, let's head on to the next slide because
Yeah.
this is getting good, right?
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, the covert contract,
Okay.
guys.
Covert
Explain
contract.
this one, Doc, to the viewers
Yeah.
that can't see it.
This is where the nice guys, this is where a lot of guys fail. I was gonna say us, but I'm no longer there anymore, so I can't relate in that way anymore. But this is what happens. This is why I say nice guys aren't actually nice, right? Because if I'm doing
You may
something
smile
behind
again.
the scenes, if I'm behind the scene, right, and I'm operating and moving in such a way where it's not authentic, it's not real. I'm doing things that you didn't ask or didn't agree to, and now I'm thinking that you owe me. As you see, for those of you can't see it on TikTok, there's on the slide it says as an equation. It says I sacrifice needs, which how many men talk about how much they sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. We had a whole thing about that last week about men sacrificing their dreams. I don't know if it was that last week before, but it was it's like I sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice, and everybody should know how much I sacrifice. And then you get the next part of the equation is no one asks you to do that. No one asks you to give up your dream. No one asks you to sacrifice your health. No one asks you to sacrifice your time. No one asks you to sacrifice any of these things. There wasn't a conversation. There wasn't a decision. There wasn't an agreement. You just thought that if I sacrifice everything, then ultimately on the other side is what it says is you owe me. That's what it's on the other side.
That's a bad one.
You owe me. I did all this without you knowing anything about. Imagine that. Let's take this out of it. Let's look like this. I want you to imagine this, right? Imagine the bank starts paying all your bills, and you didn't ask them to do it. You had the money to do it yourself, but the bank starts paying all your bills. You didn't ask them. And then they come back and say, hey, we paid all your bills. You need to pay us back with interest now.
That's the same thing.
What? No one would say, you know what? You're right. Oh, thank you so much, bank. I appreciate you so much. Let me just give you all this money back with all this interest, although I never asked you to do that. And maybe there were some things that were helpful, but whatever, no one in the right mind would do that. They'd be, what are you talking about? I didn't ask you to do that. I'm definitely not paying you back no interest. That's we do the same thing in our relationships. The exact same thing. I'm going above and beyond. I'm killing myself. I'm not doing any self-care. I'm letting my health go. I'm spending my last. I'm doing all these things, and you never asked me to. But now you are owed a debt. You are owed a debt. And if you don't pay me that debt, I now have a problem. I now have an issue. You're now the bad guy. You're now the problem. I now resent you because you're not paying a debt you never incurred. And then you say, oh, no, Keith, but they enjoyed it. Of course they enjoyed it. Who wouldn't want their bills and stuff like that paid? Of course. But they never asked for it. And if it came with that attached to it, like, oh, yeah, well, you're going to owe me in the future. You better sleep with me in the future. You better be crazy about me in the future. You should be able to help me in the future. Well, I did all this stuff for you and you can't even, I never asked you to do that stuff for me. So how are you going to put that on me as if I owe you? We never had a conversation. We never talked about that. And so, unfortunately, when you start making, and that's the thing, a lot of nice guys form these contracts. And as these guys form these contracts, guess what happens? Yeah, you start building resentment, right? And that's the thing, right? So you sacrifice, to for the people pleasing part, right? You're sacrificing to please her. The expectation is that you're going to get love or sex or something back in return without asking, right? And even if it does come, it'll never be enough, like we talked about before, the validation trap, right? Because now you're going to probably expect her to operate the same level you operate at, which is not fair. Because it's like, well, I didn't ask you. I appreciate it, but I didn't ask you to do all that. And if it's killing you to do that, if it's destroying you to do that, please stop. Please stop. Right? And so, again, here goes the reality. Resentment when reciprocation fails. And reciprocation will always fail. Because it will never, the amount that you're sacrificing is inhuman and it's not possible. And for you to expect the same thing out of somebody else is not fair. It's not fair. Right. So I know this
Absolutely.
slide's talking about like relationships and things like that, but plug anything in. Your kids, you don't know how much I
Everything.
sacrificed for you. That's your job,
Yeah,
first and foremost.
they're not
And
supposed to.
second,
Then it's like, yeah,
the kids didn't ask. No kid came to their parent and was like, you know what, Dad? Hey, you mind giving up your dreams? You mind giving your dreams and goals so I can go play sports? I'd really appreciate that. No kid's doing that. Oh, but they don't know what. But you know, and you know that I'm not doing this to get something back in return. I'm doing this. You should be doing it. This is why a lot of times nice guys aren't nice, because you should be doing it out of the kindness of your heart and because you love the person and out of your capacity, not your lack. Because if you can't do it, you can't do it. But a nice guys, they'll try to find a way and kill themselves trying to do it. But unfortunately, it's not authentic. You're doing it so you can get something back in return. That's conditional. And I'll tell
well,
you
it's
what,
funny
there's a
you
lot
said
of people
that.
that would not want to deal with you under those conditions. Oh, you're only going to rock with me if I could do something back for you? No, I'm good on that. I'm good. I'll hold. No, but I'll really help you move. No, I'm good on that, bro. Now you come with strings, bro. You come with strings.
That's the part. Come with strings.
You know, I don't want to deal with you. In business, if I had to deal with someone like that at a contract, if we were like friends and they were like, oh, yeah, I'll only do this, you know, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm expecting something back on the other side. Nah, I'm good. Let's get it down on writing first. Let's just get a contract, right? This ain't going to be this, you know, we'll keep it. No. Let's get it in writing, because that's what you're trying to do. That's why it's called the covert contract. I don't want no covert contract. If it's a contract, I want to see it. I want to read it. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. And I want to agree to it out of my own mind, not have someone try to force my hand into it through relationship or anything along those lines. Then unfortunately, a lot of men, this is what they do. They create these,
It's perfect because
contracts.
just saying this, women do not trust a man without boundaries. If you cannot protect yourself, you cannot protect her. I had a friend, he had a situation. So, you know, they're vacationing. A person bumped off and hit somebody's cart in the shopping cart, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
His first reaction was to puff up his chest and say, what the hell are you doing with my wife, this and that? And my one of my other guys that does the fighting and protective analysis and all this stuff, because it's your main job is to protect yourself and her first, not to puff up your chest and show the ego.
Yeah.
Right? Because what's good is you, if you get shot in the head, you can't protect her. All because you want to puff up your ego and everything else and be somebody you're not.
Yeah.
That's the same analogy.
Absolutely. You know, because especially in like those scenarios like that, a lot of guys think like, if I can press another guy, that means I'm manly, right? You know, no,
you're there to protect your wife, your belongings, you know, your kids, and everything else.
If there's a real threat, real threat, not, someone bumped my car, you know, it was an accident, bro. Why are you getting all big in the chest over an accident? You know?
Yep.
Now, if someone came over and started rubbing your wife's butt, by all means, knock them out, right? If they try to snatch up your kids and run off with them, by all means, there's only so much I can say in this workshop and online, but do what you got to do, right? Whatever this information, do what you got to do, right?
In that situation, certain things are expected.
Yes, you know,
not for this workshop, no. But you know,
but that's
Sean Ryan or something on there.
You know, but that's the thing, right? An 11th man, a sovereign man is gonna know the difference. They're gonna know the difference. They're gonna know when to apply pressure, when to have those boundaries go up, when to really enforce them. They're gonna know when to do that. It's not gonna be anytime someone comes along, because what that is, that's actually fear. You're so terrified of being hurt. You're so terrified of people seeing maybe a weak side of you or a vulnerability or something along those lines. What you end up doing is you just end up, I got to fight off everybody and everyone's an enemy and I'm going to. No, that's fear. That's lack of emotional control. That's lack of emotional intelligence. That's not strength. That's not authority. That's not even boundaries. That actually, it's more of a weakness more than anything else.
All right, let's go to the next slide. We went 23 slides.
Yeah. All right.
Explain this for the people on TikTok. We only went through 3 slides for an hour show.
Well, maybe that's what happens, man. It gets good, right? I mean, because you guys got to remember, these slides are they're just small prompts, right? It's not the whole thing, and which is why you got to make sure you listen to this, right? You know, we can't just give you the slides and be like, oh, you'll get it. No, you have to get everything that comes along with it. Right? So now we're talking about boundaries, walls versus gates, right? And this is something that's so critical to understand. is a boundary. For one, the purpose of a boundary is to protect what's on the inside, right? A wall is designed to keep something from coming in, period. Boundaries are permeable. Things can come in, things can go out, but it depends on how it's coming in, right? You can't enter just acting in any kind of way, right? There's certain rules that you have to follow, certain things you have to respect. So we as men have to understand, and unfortunately, a lot of times we have walls, not boundaries. So we shut everybody
Difference.
out. We don't open up. We don't share, and we call it being strong. We call it being stoked. No, we're not. It's being scared. That's what that is. I don't want anyone
Vulnerable.
to hurt me. I don't want anyone to see my vulnerabilities. I don't want anyone to use things against me. I didn't want anyone to do that. So I set up walls so nobody can get in. Forget the rules. And this is where it lies. Like, oh, if you just respect me, that's enough. And we talked about before, that's not enough. You know respect is not enough. People can respect you and not like you. And guess what? You're alone. Like it says here on the slide. That's isolation. You're by yourself. And then you tell yourself stories that nobody knows, nobody cares, things like that. And again, going back to that validation trap, might look a little bit different with some different inputs, but it's the same thing. I'm scared to open up, so I'm going to act and respond, move, and feel in certain ways to reinforce the belief that it's not safe to open up. And so then you continue to have that wall. But a gate, though, that is a permeable boundary, right? Things can come in depending if they meet the right circumstances, right? The right requirements, in which you have to know what those are. Essentially, this is how you want to be treated. You have to know how you want to be treated. How do you want to be talked to? How do you want to be listened to? How you want people to treat you, treat your time, treat your belongings. You should be able to figure all that out and know that so that you can teach other people, because a lot of times we will shut people out because they're not following rules that we don't even know ourselves. We know instinctively, right? We know subconsciously, but we don't know on a conscious level. So if someone violates a boundary, what you do is you wall up, you shut them out. See, this is why it's not safe. This is why I can't open up. This is why I can't do this. But you didn't teach them. You didn't show them. You don't even know yourself. You didn't take time with yourself to even say, hey, is this how I want to be treated? And then allow her or him or your children or whoever to learn you, to understand you, because you do understand. Maybe you don't understand, but love is when someone understands and accepts you, or wants to understand and wants to accept you. So that means if you teach them about yourself, guess what's going to end up happening? They're going to either do one or two things. They're either going to be closer to you, they're going to get through that boundary and get closer to your inner circle, or they're not going to do it and the gate closes. They're not meeting the requirements. They stay on the outside. Either way, you're still safe. But you have to know what your boundaries are and be able to teach them other people so that they can get closer to you. Because if you don't even know how you want to be treated, it's not fair to expect everybody else, your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, your family, your friends, your brother, your sister, you're not. It's unfair to ask them to automatically mind read and know. So that's the difference between a wall and a boundary. You really need to work on making sure you have boundaries and not walls. And if you're terrified to open up because of things inside of you and things of shame or guilt or things like that, I strongly recommend you linking up with us. I strongly recommend you linking up with the therapist. You link up with me so we can actually start working on that to break down those walls, establish gates, and give you power and control and sovereignty back over your life.
Yeah, because just to get to this, if you're feeling taken advantage of by others and you don't know where to turn to, or you feel a little bit guilty of asserting what you really want in any type of relationships, your work, your coworkers, your kids, and everything else, or you're just constantly exhausted from overgiving. This is what some of these things are all about, because you need a clear inner voice for what you got going on in your life to figure out that this is what this is for, right? If you want to if you look downstairs, down at the below right here, head on to assessment at boundaries and brotherhood to take the free assessment that Dot created so that we can put you in a direction or a path that can get you into the sovereign 11th man. This workshop here, guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, you can watch it. I'll probably put the free PDF in the YouTube or the Facebook so you can download it, look at the slides, and maybe rewatch this, because the app is coming next so that you can have this. But a lot of the times, like Doc said, there's a difference between the wall and the gate. Some of you put up walls, but then you lock the gate. Some of you close the gate and then dismantle walls. And it goes for other people also. Now, which one are you protecting, right? Is it your true self, or you're just scared, right? A lot of my guys right here that's on here right now have been doing time with me. And I just want to applaud you for staying out and doing all this stuff, because we know what change looks like, but we also know how it is to put down our walls and to open the gate to people letting us in to move forward with our life. The ones that can and cannot do that, I really feel sorry for you. And that's why we made this channel. You don't get insights from somebody like from the streets like myself, and you get a professional therapist to help men, and not just men, but people move forward to find purpose and destination in their core being, right?
Mm.
Doc, let's go to another slide. Oh,
All right.
now we're getting into nitty gritty.
All right.
Busting boundary myths.
Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about some of the myths first, right? So if I have boundaries, she will leave me or people will leave me, right? So that's one myth, right? And I wish you had the time to go through like a, true or false type thing, right?
We
Here's
could.
another one. Boundaries. Well, I mean, in a live session we could,
Oh,
but
okay, yeah.
it's also right there on the screen as well. So they kind of already know it's not true. But another myth, right? Boundaries are controlling. Boundaries are manipulation, right? That's a myth as well. And then also, I need to justify my boundaries. I need to get your approval to have boundaries. That is also a myth, right? So let's go back to the first one, right? That if I have boundaries, people will leave me. The fact of the matter is, people don't leave you because you have boundaries, right? Well, let me rephrase that. Take it back, right? Because it's kind of a half truth, right? There are some people that will leave you when you have boundaries. They absolutely will. Especially if you didn't have it before, and then what ends up happening is you start, hey,
Yes.
I know my worth and my value,
Yes.
and so now I have the boundaries. So it's kind of a half truth. Yeah, people will leave you. As a matter of fact, I teach my clients, when you start setting up boundaries, I guarantee you people are going to leave your life. You might have a mass exodus, 100%.
That's a good thing.
I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And here's the reality, as it states here. If she leaves because you demand respect, because you want to be treated the right way, because you want to be able to be yourself, right? Then there's no need for you to worry, right? It says it right here. She was only benefiting from your lack of it, right? From you not having self-respect, right? So essentially she was using you, right?
Yep, that's deep.
Yeah. So there's that aspect, right? So she does leave, good riddance to bad rubbish. Let me just keep it like that, right? If your friends do leave, good riddance to bad rubbish. If your family leaves, good riddance to bad rubbish. If your business partner leaves, good riddance to bad rubbish. Because anybody who wants to be in your life, they will, if you start having boundaries, they will understand. They will understand.
Absolutely.
You know what? Hey,
absolutely.
Okay, good. I'll respect your time. You want me to be on time? I'll be on time. You want me to, do what I said I'm going to do? I'm going to do it. You want me to stop? Whatever it is, right? Because I respect you enough. I love you enough. I love this relationship we have enough to respect your boundaries. And the thing is, when we have boundaries, you're not asking anyone to do anything that's crazy or wild. I've yet to hear a boundary that's like, yeah, I want to make, they better bow down to me and kiss my feet every time they see me. If they don't do that, then they're violating my boundaries. It's not that. I want to be talked to with a calm tone. I want to be talked to with respect. I want people to just do the thing they say they're going to do. Like, it's not crazy stuff. So
it's simple. It's simple, but a lot of people don't set them because they want to feel validated and wanted. You mean, and that's where it all sort of comes from. And it comes down from being a kid when you don't get the attention. If you don't have the attention you got in from your parents that you wanted, and you do something crazy just to get that attention, I see my kids do it.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, stop looking for that type of attention. You want attention? Come ask straight up like a man. You mean do this other thing? Like I got my 3-year-old shaking his teacher's hand like this. I'll see you tomorrow. Bending his back. The teacher just lost her mind. She goes, I do this at home, but not with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, because when you set boundaries for yourself, you have integrity and self-respect for yourself, and then you can command the respect that you truly deserve. If you don't have that and people start leaving, that's a beautiful thing, because it's same thing. I equate that to being an ex-drug addict, being an ex-criminal, not staying around the drug addicts and criminal. That's a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not mixed up in the life. And it's the same concept, right?
Yeah.
Talk about Let's talk about the myth I need to justify my boundary. That one is big.
So as far as like justifying your boundaries, right? Again, you're asking permission. So I mean, the myth is I have to ask permission to have boundaries. It's essentially what you're saying, you know. And the fact of the matter is that's not how boundaries work. Do you have to ask permission from the thief, to keep your door locked at night? You don't. You
Okay.
know, the thief comes to you and you don't say, you know what, Mr. Thief, let me explain why I keep my door locked. I just don't want anyone to steal from me. Like, is that okay with you? Do you understand?
Mm,
That's not how any of this works, right? It's the same thing with how I want to be talked to. If I don't ask someone, can you please talk to me? Because it would really just make it so nice. And if you don't, that's okay. No, I don't like to be talked to that way. Well, why? Because I don't. I don't. That's why. Because I said, don't talk to me and use all that profanity, or don't talk to me and yell and scream. If you want me to listen to you, these are the parameters. This is the requirement. You need to be in a calm tone. It needs to be without profanity. That's it. I don't have to justify what it is. And if it's like, well, I'm not going to do it unless you justify. Well, then you can sit yourself on the other side of this gate and then wonder why we're not close, and wonder why I don't open up, and wonder why I don't share. Right? You could sit there looking confused, but when you come back, I will tell you the same thing, because the way you talk to me, because how you invalidate my feelings, because when you do this, when you do that, and I taught you and I told you not to do that, but you're still doing it, right? So no, like it says right here, is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify your boundaries at all. You have them, and you just need to share them with other people. So that's something that I think it's critical for people to understand, that you don't have to justify why you have your boundaries. But I will say this, asterisk here, right? Asterisk. So make sure it's a boundary and not a wall. Because
different.
if you're trying to say, well, I don't have to justify my wall, and I'm just not opening up because you have some deep-seated hurt on the outside, which is into the next one, because you have some deep-seated hurt on the outside, that's not a boundary. That's fear talking. See, boundaries aren't grounded in fear. They're grounded in respect. They're grounded in your self-worth. Walls are grounded in fear. So if you're doing this out of fear, I don't want to open up out of fear. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to share what I'm thinking and feeling out of fear. If you're doing it like that, then that's a wall. You need to work on that. A boundary says, yeah, I'll open up and share, but it's going to be under these parameters, right? It's got to be with we're listening and we're talking and we're doing it the right way. If we're not doing it like that, then, well, I'm not going to do it, because I value myself, and I know my worth, and I know I'm worthy of being listened to. I know I'm worthy of being talked to with respect. I know that, so I'm not going to take anything less.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Yes.
Ooh.
All right.
Stopping the disrespect.
Yes. All right. So the protocol for stopping disrespect, and we could probably go on this for a while, right? But essentially it's you enforcing your boundaries, right? It doesn't mean you have to be super aggressive. It doesn't mean you have to yell and scream. It doesn't mean you have to puff your chest up and beat on your chest and all this stuff like that and make all this noise. If you're doing that, you're emotionally dysregulated and you already lost. You already lost.
Ooh, we already lost.
Not just up in a state where someone's disrespecting you, when you're like, oh man, well, you better not, you have to talk to me that. Hey, you already lost. Game over. Game over. They pressed your button and they got you going. Now they got you on strings like a puppet, just dancing, looking like a straight fool in public, looking like a fool at the bank, looking like a fool wherever you are, because they got you dancing. I know it's harsh language, but you just got to hear it. You got to. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. To stop disrespect, it doesn't require all that. It doesn't require all that. A sovereign man, the 11th man, it doesn't require him to do all that, right? Because the first start, right, you got to identify what happened, right? And you got to make sure you're specific. Don't just say, oh, you were disrespectful. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Disrespect is different for me and you and everybody else. So you just say, well, you're not respecting me. What does that mean? You didn't teach anybody anything, right? So now you're mad at your wife. You're you're disrespectful. You're disrespectful. What are you talking about? What is she doing that is disrespectful? So you gotta take time and learn yourself and learn how you want to be treated. Because if you don't know how you want to be treated, then it's just based off of feelings and you can't teach it to anybody else. You cannot stop disrespect because people aren't going to know what's disrespectful and what's not. So it's
Right?
critical for you to be able to
They don't know.
identify that very clearly and let the person know, hey, when you raise your voice, that to me is disrespectful. When you use profanity, that's disrespectful. When you use always and never, or make accusations and blame, that is disrespectful. So when you do that, this is what I'm going to do. Let's move on to the next thing, right? You can say a verbal stop, right? Which is when you let them know when that boundary has been crossed. Whoa, time out. You're using that language. You're doing that thing that I taught you about. I told you about that thing, right? Or I'm telling you right now, you got to take that time out. Doesn't mean you'll automatically stop, but you got to take that time out and you say, hey, wait, hold on. The way you're coming at me right now, I don't like that. You gotta lower that tone, right? Because that's coming off as disrespectful to me. So you let them know. Right? And so now let's say it continues, because this is a big issue. Because a lot of guys, you'll have boundaries, but you won't uphold them. And if you're not upholding your boundaries, then it's not a boundary.
That is just does nothing.
Right? If you leave your door wide open, the door is useless. If I can walk right in your house and whenever I want, you say, Keith, you better not come in my house. Okay, I walk in your house and you're like, you came in my house. Well, the door is open.
You left the door open.
Yeah.
I didn't have to kick it in.
So you gotta uphold your boundary. And this is when you start, and this is so critical. This is so critical, right? Because once you uphold your boundary and you taught them, you told them they're still violating, you say, you know what? I'm good now. I'm out of here. Oh, well, what if they leave me? What if they start saying things? I've been called a bully. I've been called controlling. I've been called all types of things. So I leave conversations that don't serve me anymore. I say, you know what? I already told you about the way you're coming at me. I'm done. I'm walking away. Oh, no, I'm done. Right? No. I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right. Yeah, you're going to get it right next time, but not this time. This time is done. You got to sit with that now. I'm gone. That's how you stop the disrespect, because now someone learns if they really want to be in a relationship with you, they're going to sit back, right? Because you didn't act like a monkey and jump around and make all this noise and be dangled on a string. You held yourself accountable. You were respectful. You shared what your boundary was. You gave them a warning. They still violated. I now walk away. They have nothing left to deal with other than their own behavior. Dang, he did tell me he didn't want me talking to him like that. He told me multiple times. I didn't listen. Well, and then guess what people are going to do? They're going to try to become defensive. Well, but because, he made me feel. No, can no one make you feel that way? Oh, well, he said, no, he didn't say anything. He didn't say he wanted to be treated. And so now all they're left with is their own behavior to sit with. And if they really want to be in a relationship with you, they will take accountability for their actions. They will apologize. And then when you are ready, so not when they're ready, when you are ready to have that conversation again, they have to ask, then you can have it again, or you can have that engagement again. And that is how you set. That is how you teach, and that is how you uphold your boundaries to end disrespect. It's not through emotional dysregulation. It's through a calm respect and of knowing your value and knowing your self-worth and knowing your boundaries and teaching it to others.
No, absolutely. I agree with 100% of that, because communication is going to be key, but you also have to have communication with yourself and controlling that emotional nervous system that you have going on with yourself to be able to kind of adhere to what's going on. Guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, you can go on to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, or our Facebook and see the slides, because we have a whole slide presentation on this workshop, right? And if you want to have an assessment done that's going to be completely free, go on to assessment at boundariesandbrotherhood.com, or you can see the link up in my bio in this thing, so that you can actually see where you're at and where we can kind of like encourage you to go there. Because having the slides, that's going on within the other two channels going on, you're not getting all of the essence of it. You know what I mean? But I just want to let you know that. Look at this one. Ooh. Please describe for the people on TikTok watching what's on the screen right here.
All right, so it's a picture of a person. And you see the X-ray into his brain, or I guess maybe it's an MRI or CAT scan. Maybe that's a better way. And it looks like there's dysregulation in the middle of their brain. I believe that's where the limbic system is. And it's saying self-doubt, which is the intruder, right? And what this mechanism does, it hijacks the fear center, reframes safety as stagnation, and uses past failures as evidence, right? So here's the issue. This is what happens. Your brain, I love this quote right here. It says, your brain's designed to keep you alive, not happy,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we have to override this protocol. And again, that self-doubt is killer. And we're looking for someone on the outside. We talked about internal validation, but unfortunately, we're looking for someone on the outside to kill this thing for us, to kill our self-doubt. But unfortunately, it's a mechanism within our own brain to keep us safe. If we identify all the ways things went wrong, and then we just don't try anymore and don't put ourselves out there, then in our brain, it keeps us safe. Right? Because wrong meant bad, because we were taught that, taught that really early in school. Wrong meant bad. Trying to make a mistake meant bad. Your parents used to yell at you when you made a mistake. That was bad. So we internalize the idea that wrong is bad, right? Making mistakes is bad. And so when we then create that program, that pattern in our brain of self-doubt, in order to identify all the things that go wrong, because what made it with the mistakes that we went wrong, that was bad. And that was a threat to our system, either socially or physically or emotionally, because we lost things when we were made mistakes. And so now we create this, and now we spend the rest of our life trying to look for external validation to overcome this, but it's not going to work. Because again, it's an internal job. It's up to us to rewire our brain and change that pattern and move from safety, because we already know how to keep ourselves safe. Being safe doesn't mean not trying and not, putting ourselves out there and not communicating and not opening up. That's not what safety is, right? That's actually will keep us stagnant. That will actually destroy us. That will keep us alone. That will keep us fearful. And all those unpleasant emotions will wreak havoc on our body and put our bodies in a diseased state. And so all that stuff goes up: diabetes, heart pressure, Alzheimer's disease, all that stuff increases drastically when you sit with unpleasant emotions for an extended period of time. And that's what happens when we have self-doubt, because it keeps us from truly living life and being who God has designed us to be.
Right. Because a lot of time, I get it. Your brain is destined it's in our DNA, but the doubt of the intruder on this slide, the self doubt, it kind of hijacks everything, because now you start questioning yourself. Now you don't have the confidence. Now you're not willing to put one foot forward. Like last week's show about your dreams, right? Part of that is living your dream to the best extent that you can because of who you are, right? And if you start doubting yourself and you start putting your dreams on the back burner for somebody else and they're not adding to it, you're kind of like just going through the motion. You know what I mean? And then once you start going through the motion, it's not going to do anything for you, because you still have to take chances. I just did a face this video of, you have to take the chance in life to be fulfilled and grow. Because if you stay in your content with everything else got going on, you will just stay stagnant, and there's no room to pour into other people, right? And that's where that comes in, because the mechanism that will change you will actually put you in a different place, and then you just have to override. That's why this workshop with me working with Doc, you can override that safety protocol by taking small actions to identify the things that you're scared of, to identify the emotional trauma you might have done in the past. Every show that we've done leads up to our workshops at the end of the month. So because this is the content builds up for what we have going on, because at the end of the day, we want you to be the best version of yourself, even if it's a work in progress. We're always going to be a work in progress. It's not a sprint, it's a journey. But the person that fails the fastest, and I know about failing in life a lot, right? And we all do, but I just gotta have to admit it. But moving to that direction is what we want, because we want you doing the best you can and not doing stupid things to unalive yourself, right? There's a way, there's a place, there's a person, there's somebody you can talk to conquer that self-doubt where it's not that bad. Next slide. The mathematics of confidence. What is this, Doc?
All right. So this is just like we talked about before, when confidence is just our belief in our ability to do the thing we said we're going to do, right? So as it says on the slide here, keeping promises to yourself. You do the thing you say you're going to do, and you do it consistently, right? You overcome, you get another. And I love the gold bars here that it has, but you put another essentially a gold bar every time you overcome something. And here's the critical part you guys need to understand is that you have it doesn't matter. The brain does not qualify, your efforts when it comes to things you overcome. All of it is exactly the same in your brain. All of it.
It
So
doesn't know the
just like
difference, right?
you, it counts the wins as binary. A small win, make your bet is 1. A missed promise is 0. You stack the ones. But here's the thing. So, the small win, the big win, all that, it only counts as 1. Getting my doctorate degree as the same level in my
Same.
mind as learning to tie my shoes and ride my bike and pass that test. The brain does not say, oh, this one's worth 100. Right? It doesn't work that way. Everything counts as 1. And just like Gordon was saying in the past one, right? In the past slide, when it comes to going out of our comfort zone, that's where growth takes place. It doesn't necessarily feel good, but if you look at how confidence is built the right way, and you attach all of your wins together, because here's another issue. This is why you're not confident right now. I'm going to tell you why. Because you detach the wins and you connect your losses.
Losses.
Amplify your losses, and I can
Losses.
guarantee you have more wins. You have more wins in your life than losses. But the problem is you downplay your wins. You say a doctorate degree is not a big deal. Making 7 figures is not a big deal. Getting married is not a big deal. It's never enough. I'm always losing. But every time you mess up, oh my gosh,
The world's ending.
I didn't make the recital. Oh my gosh, I forgot the milk. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't turn this in on time. I'm the worst person in the world. See, this is just like you connect all of those things instead of, oh shoot, you know what? Hey, I made a mistake. Instead of learning as a learning time, right? For you to say, oh shoot,
It's
a
always
learning moment where you say, oh man, dang, I forgot the milk. Dang, I got too much on my plate, man. Hey, I gotta make sure I do something different. Instead of, oh man, I was laying on that deadline. You know what? Hey, I need to manage my time better. Instead of doing something like that, no, what do? We just, and then we connect them. Every time you lose, every time you get a 0, you connect it. You connect it. You connect it. So now you have this chain of self-doubt, no matter what successes you had, because this is also what you do. You don't connect your successes together.
Yeah.
You keep them separated and you downplay them. Oh, that's not a big deal.
That's big.
Oh man, I brought my
That's
wife
huge.
to work anymore. That's not a big deal. I started a business and I'm helping my whole community. That's not a big deal. Anybody could do that. Oh, I got a doctorate degree. Anybody could do that. No, I have my own business. Anybody could do that. It's not a big deal. And you separate them and you keep them scattered. But you chain together all these things. And that's why you don't have confidence. You're literally creating the thing that's keeping you from having the confidence by chaining all that stuff together as they're looking at them as learning moments and breaking them apart and learning from them. Because all of those could be wins too. That's the crazy part. Your losses could literally still be turned into wins. That's why I need to improve. So I improve and get better. That doesn't happen yet. That's a win. Oh, shoot, that business failed. You know what? This is why I need to do better. Then you go and do it and you win, right? Going like you were saying, failing fast. In business, that's what they say. The person who fails the fastest and comes back is the person who wins. Not the person with the best idea, not the person with the best product, not the person with the best marketing, not the person with the best sales team, nothing like that. The person who fails the fastest. They get out there, they try it, they fail, they learn from it, they go back. They try, they fail, they learn, they go back. They try, they fail, they learn, they go back. And then eventually what happens? It hits. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's not fair. My stuff is better. My programs are better. My product's better. But you were so scared because you connected all those things, those failures together. You connected all those losses together. And so what ended up happening was you now hold yourself back. And as you hold yourself back, what ends up happening? Now you don't move forward and everyone's going to surpass you, no matter how smart you are, how much money you have, no matter what, because you've created an environment. You created a chain that shouldn't have been created in the first place. And so if you want to undo that, you need to disconnect those losses, learn from them, turn them into wins, reconnect all of your wins, and look at your life and see how much you've actually accomplished. And then you start going out into out of your comfort zone and start stacking more wins, and more growth and more happiness and more progress. And you'll see your life exponentially improve when you start doing things like this.
Well, the simple version of that is going to be just this, right? The person that can fail, get back up, have the insights, do it one more time with better insights, because there is no failing. It's all lessons learned. You didn't lose. You got to look at what lessons did you learn from it? What lessons did I learn from being a drug addict, being a criminal, being a convict, being a changed person, right? Where did
Mhm.
I get my trauma from? Where did it go? Because once you learn how to kind of like reframe that, rephrase that, using the seven pillars to get the confidence and look at it binary, like you said, because even for myself, right? I can say, yeah, I got this $1 million business over here. I'm marketing for this platform. I'm doing all of this. Wrote 7 books, did 4 coloring books, everything. That's just nothing. But when somebody else is over like, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing this. But see, for me, it's like, you know, you can get to that level, but I'm not putting myself down, is because, you got to keep striving for more, because that's when growth happens. This is
Yeah.
where you become the 11th man. You become confident. You command confidence. You command the respect for women and men alike, right? Because why? You use your insights. It's like the guy, like I said a couple weeks ago, that game from The Price is Right. I'm showing my age.
Mhm.
If you don't have everything else, you fall off the cliff, right?
Yeah.
The Price is Right thing, right? You fall off the cliff, but when do you get back up? The whole secret to it all is getting back up and using what you learn, not doing the same crap. And believe me, trust me, I've done the same crap so many times that I had 15 convictions and 115 arrests. That's how stupid. I almost said a bad word. That's how stupid I used to be, right? But you mean politically correct, right? This is why me and Doc get along so good. This is so much fun. But guys, it's one of those things. Reward yourself for the things that you've been through, and actually be confident, because you were born to do something, right? And
Yeah.
you just, for some reason, you listen to somebody else and your self-doubt kicked in, because it's there to protect you, misguide you. But what if you start challenging those beliefs? Where do you start questioning those things? Where do
Yeah.
you start questioning, where the hell did that shit come from? Then you start looking at, man, that's, now you start creating your own beliefs, your own behaviors, your own patterns, your own purpose, right?
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
own. And then the zeros and the ones, the zeros don't even matter no more. You just look at it as ones,
You'll
right?
never have zeros. You'll
You'll
never
never have zeros.
do it. Listen, guys, if you do confidence the right way, you will never lose. I have a saying: you either win or you learn, but you never lose. But
You never
it
lose.
starts in
Yeah.
here. It starts in
Yeah.
here. Every failure, and I was even looking at my finances this morning. I'm like, dang, I'm in actually a pretty decent place. You know,
Damn, better than me.
coming from, but where did that come from, Gordon? It came from last year making a lot of mistakes. Last year,
Yeah. Well,
I overextended myself, and I
it
was
happens.
struggling the entire year as a result. But did I sit in
It
the multi grub?
happens.
Oh, woe is me! It's so unfair. Nobody likes me. Oh! I never win. It's all. I didn't do that. I
It
say, dang,
happens.
it sucks. It sucks. I don't like this. I prayed about it. I'm like, you know what? I got to get myself out of this, and I'm going to learn, and I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to take a measured approach. I'm going to look and see, hey, is this investment going to bring me back, a return, and if it doesn't, let's hypothetically think it doesn't, can I take that hit? I've learned. So last year wasn't a loss. I learned it. It's a one.
You
I
learn.
stack it. I keep moving forward. And for those of you can see the slide, you see it goes up. So if I'm always going up, then success is not random anymore. Success is guaranteed. It's guaranteed.
All right. Here's the next slide, right? Guys, if you're not watching this slide, maybe leave a comment or please share this out. Maybe I'll leave the PDF in some of the comments so you can get it, so you can actually look at the slides and watch this in a replay. The Genesis narrative audit. Explain that, guys. And on the slide in the thing, we have an old cassette tape unraveled with the question: who told you that you weren't enough? And I'll let Doc explain that. He's
Gordon,
about
for
to go
this,
off, I can tell.
for this slide, I'm gonna let Google and Notebook slide on this one because I don't like the idea of old program with the cassette tape on there because
Okay,
that would
okay,
burn
okay,
my
okay.
time. All right, I used to rewind cassette tapes with pencils. Like I
Okay, hey,
remember that. You record on one side, you got to flip it over, record on the other side.
Press the tape. Record off the radio. You're recording off the radio for my. That's when I used to pop.
Now, maybe if Google would have used like some old school instruments or maybe like a 8-track or something like that, you know, would have been
8-track? Okay. We're gonna do Notebook LM a break right here, right? You're gonna record Zap off of Zap and off the radio. Press the recording button, got a ring so you can make your playlist.
Yes. Oh boy, we're dating ourselves a little bit. Okay, all right. The Genesis narrative audit, right? So the question is, if you can see the slide, it says, who told you weren't enough? Right. And so I think here's the critical thing. No, I don't think anyone actually says that. I'll be honest. I don't know if anyone, I don't remember my parents ever tell me I'm not enough. I don't remember my brothers or sisters or my friends or my teachers ever tell me I'm not enough. Right. So, you know, a lot of times it's how we interpret the behaviors that happen to us. Right. That's a lot of times what happens. Where children were learning how to interact with the world. And through that learning, we get the message that we're not enough. And we talked about this in the previous workshop about how when we're younger, we get praised for doing nothing, right? Because we're enough. We have that intrinsic value. But then we stop getting the same reaction. We have to start now going and earning that attention. And so now we're on this hamster wheel, like to be enough, I have to perform. Right. And I have to do a behavior. And so now, unfortunately, as children, we attach behavior to internal value and look for external validation to say, hey, if we're enough or not. So the wires get misconstrued. Like like right there, if you ever had a cassette tape, you know, that would get sometimes it would go in the player and it would get jammed up. And if you know what I'm talking about, you pull it out and then it's like, oh, shoot. And then now it can be all scrambled and you're trying to undo it and you're trying to wrap it a little bit and then undo it. That's what ends up happening. We start conflating our behaviors with our identity. And when you do that and you learn that doing so means I have to get that external validation because that's what happened. When you crawled, you know, it was great, but then eventually crawling wasn't enough. You had to walk, right? Or you had to stand. Then standing wasn't enough. Then you had to walk. Then walking wasn't enough. Then you had to run. Then running wasn't enough. Then you had to be controlled with it. And then even when you did that, that wasn't enough. And so it was always this perpetual cycle where I have to do to prove that I'm enough. And I need someone on the outside to tell me that I'm enough. But we got to separate that, right? You got to separate your identity, who you are, from your behaviors, right? Because there's some overlap. Yeah, but absolutely. Some of our behaviors may not necessarily dictate who we are. We all make mistakes. You know, sometimes we're not our best self. There's these things we call emotions that sometimes we don't control them. They can have us acting out of character. Doesn't mean that's who you are. That's just who you were in that bad situation. But on an internal level, that's not who you are. So we need to make sure we separate that out. Because then when you start doing that, you can start actually living according to your real values, your real morals, your real standards, your real beliefs. And that can start changing your perspective, your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And then now you start recycling and reinforcing the new belief that you have in yourself that I'm already enough. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. And you start reinforcing that. So now you've put your behaviors in such a way where now your behaviors are reinforcing your belief over and over and over and over again.
Nice. That I told you Doc was about to explain something really deep right there because it does make sense. Guys, I wish you guys on TikTok here could see this slides. But if you want to see the replay, go down to our YouTube channel. And guys, if I just want to say one of our proud sponsors on Alert Pop is going to be the first ever caffeinated candy pouches. We're trying to hit the market. If you guys are creators and you're looking for something that's different from the energy drink, check these out. These are brand new, coming out of the market. I just want to say something different, and even something like this, I'm jumping in head first.
Well, Gordon, if I could speak to that real quick before we go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
And just because, guys, think about it. We grew up in an age where you have the energy drinks came out, right? I know those came around when I was younger. And what's the biggest issue that we have with energy drinks and coffee, especially if you use a lot of sugar, right? For one, it's terrible for our health, the sugar, but then you crash, right? And so
And that's
then
the part.
with these products, right, what ends up happening is there's no crash. It's sustained focus, sustained energy all day, without all that sugar. So something to think about if you guys are interested.
Thanks, you Doc,
Yeah,
because the
you're
gummies
welcome.
is going to be the winner too. We got gummy products coming out for that thing. But I just want to say, if you're a creator out there or you want to jump on, go to Alert Pops and say you found this on this channel, and let's get in touch. But guys, next slide. The 3-minute audits. Ooh, the container and the content tops. Nice.
Okay. All right. So when going into this, okay, the 3-minute audit, right? So let's look at the key rule first and foremost. So if the container is broken, right? The container being here, what holds your tone, your respect, the safety, the
What is a
dynamic.
container, first of all?
It's essentially it's your
Explain.
boundaries, right? It's how you want to be
Okay.
treated, right?
Okay.
It's how everything is contained. That's where we exist. That's where
Okay.
we are, right? And so, but if that part is not working properly, right, it's gonna be really difficult for us to engage in the content of any conversation. Because when it comes to like content, like topics, disputes, logistics, maybe some miscommunication on the other person's side. If you don't you're not good within yourself already, if you don't know how to set those boundaries, if you don't know yourself and know how you want to be treated, and also have the skills to communicate, and also, this is really important, and also how to listen, then right, it says right here, do not engage with content of the container is safe. A lot of times we're trying to engage in relationships, and this is a big one. We're trying to engage in relationships when the container is shattered. It's shattered, right? We have no emotional regulation. We have no boundaries. We don't have no skills. Our container is shattered, and we're wondering why we have a hard time engaging in conversations. Because contrary to popular belief, it's not always the woman's fault. There have been some women who they communicate perfectly fine. And because the container and the guy is shattered, or maybe there's some insecurity there, there's some fear there, he can't properly engage the conversation. He can't properly engage the topic, right?
Yeah.
So
that's huge, because the interpretation of it all can be completely different from what she's trying to get.
And this fact right here, this isn't our fact. This isn't my fact. This came from Dr. John Gottman and the researchers he's worked with, right? You could predict the outcome of a conversation in the first 3 minutes based on the tone, right? You could and
love that.
Crazier, I forgot which book it was in, but I think he said like they could actually predict with like 80 or 85% accuracy in the first 3 minutes of a conversation if a couple will get divorced years down the line from one conversation. It's insane. But long story short,
I've seen that.
We got to make sure the container is good. We got to make sure we are good. Stop looking at everybody else and what they're doing and how they're making mistakes and using you statements and it's everybody else's fault. It's the white man's fault, the black man's fault, the government's fault, my wife's fault, the kid's fault, my boss' fault, God's fault. It's everybody else's fault. But stop doing that. Retain, look back. Okay, I need to fix my container. What am I doing? Am I making sure that I'm having a respectful tone? Am I making sure I'm respecting them and their boundaries? Am I making sure I'm creating an emotionally safe space for them? Am I making sure that I'm good? We need to look at that as well, because this is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street, because you want the respect. You got to give the respect. You might say, well, I'm not being respectful. That's just how I talk, right? Well, if they don't receive it that way, right? If you come off as yelling and you want to call it passion, but they're not receiving it that way, and you really want to get information across them, you got to change your behaviors on your side too. Okay, well, they don't receive it that way. Okay, let me slow it down, right? Let me slow it down so they can receive it, because I want them to get this message, right? Because there's sometimes you look at some speakers, right? You look at preachers, you look at people like that. Sometimes we're out here just really going in. Right? You even look at our videos. Today, I'm probably more animated than I was last week. Sometimes I'm sit back, I'm chill, I'm just kind of give you information. It all depends. But the point I'm trying to make is we can control it. Don't just say, oh, that's just how I am. That's a cop-out answer. That is a cop-out answer. If you can change your behavior, we are dynamic human beings, which is, and I'll throw this in here as well, which is why that whole alpha, beta, gamma, that's all trash. It's garbage. Throw it out. And anybody who's preaching that, throw it out. It's trash. It's garbage. Why? Because I'm all of that. I can be alpha, beta.
At any given time, you can be all of it. Absolutely.
I can be all of it. Depends on what the situation depends on me.
right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
when it comes to that, you want to think about it like that, right? Because okay, I got the container good, but am I making sure I'm doing what I need to do and operating excellence on my side to make sure that my side of the street's clean and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do? That's a key thing here, guys. You got to make sure your side of the street is clean and focus on that. Don't focus on nothing else until your side of the street's clean. Not how your wife talks or how your kids act or how your boss shows up. I got to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on my side. And once my side of the street is clean, then I can start addressing some of those other behaviors out there because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on my side.
And that's when it makes it easier for you to kind of like put that in position. Because
Yes.
once you do that, you know what's coming from. Because I'm guilty of it also.
Yeah.
I used to be passionate. I'm loud. I'll tell Andrea this and that, and then I'll correct myself. And
Yeah.
that's emotional intelligence. Because once you have that container, like they say, the tone, okay, and you have the guts to say, okay, I fucked up. Oh, you know what I mean? Whatever. Then it's fine. But
Yeah.
until that happens, you're going to be that same person. You're going to make excuses. What I tell people, once you start making excuses and justifying things for some of your behavior, you're already down that path, right?
It's
And then you're through because
Yeah.
you'll never get nothing accomplished at
Yeah.
all.
It's already
At
over.
all. Yeah, it's already over.
Yeah.
Ooh, regulation, down to our next slide, guys. Regulation is leadership. Right now, there's on the slide right here, there's like a switch like you see in the way I see it, it's like on the bathroom of an airplane. You have that occupied, not occupied. That's what the slide looks like. Doc, explain the regulation leadership. What's on there? The sympathetic, and the parasympathetic buttons.
Okay. So we're talking about the nervous system right now, right? And so in the nervous system, we have two states, right? We have the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's reactive, right? Stress triggers this a lot, right? This is where I'm in danger and I need to do something immediately to alleviate this danger, to either solve it or run away from it, right? So a lot of us live there too often. It's devastating to the body and our relationships, right? And if you're a leader, it's devastating to your leadership as well, because you're always operating out of fear. So, and then there's the parasympathetic nervous system. That's our rest and digest. That's where we can think clearly. We can be proactive. We can be empathetic. We can be emotionally intelligent. That's where all that stuff lives, right? When we get escalated, especially when your heartbeat goes over, depending on you, if you're just an average person, average guy, don't really work out too much. It's probably when your heartbeat goes over 100 beats a minute, you're down to the sympathetic nervous system. If you're a trained guy, it's probably going to be a little bit lower, depending on how much you're trained, and it might be maybe like 80 or 70, or depending on how, if you're really, really, really trained, maybe even 60. Like your heart rate gets escalated like that. I remember me and my wife were in counseling one time, and we were talking about that. And I had my heart rate monitor on. The counselor said, "Hey, check your heart rate." And she said, "Well, for Keith, for you, it might be, a little bit over. It might, 100 may not be it." And so I was looking at my heart rate one time when I was escalated, and my heart rate, I started getting escalated around like 80, 85 beats per minute. Right. So my sympathetic nervous system actually activated a lot sooner because my body is trained. I have a lower heart rate when it comes to being parasympathetic. So all this being said, a leader cannot be someone who's frantic. A leader cannot be someone who's reactive. A leader, if you're frantic, if you're reactive, if you're overly emotional, if you're dysregulated, you are not able to lead anybody. I want you to think about that.
100% true.
Many of us have seen our boss at work, and the boss who's when an emergency happens, they start freaking out. They don't know what to do. They're yelling at people. They're breaking down. They're being disrespectful because their sympathetic nervous system's in play. They can't do anything. They can't lead properly. A leader has to be someone who, in the face of the danger or issues or problems, they're cool, calm, and collected. And here's what happens when we look to someone like that, even if we're dysregulated, we then become regulated.
Exactly. I was just about to say.
I'll give you guys a quick example. I remember, I don't know if it was last year, or the year before that, that my son had this recital to go to. and he didn't have the right clothes. My wife calls me. I think he has the bus leave to like 10:30. My wife calls me at like 9:50 or something like that. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, he has no shoes, no pants, no belt, no suit, no nothing." And she's freaking out. And she's like, well, it's not going to work out and this and that. And she was trying and she was being frantic, right? And there's no shade on my wife. I'm just saying this is what was going on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could have been frantic too. Oh my God. Oh, it was good. That's not
No.
what the moment required.
Yep.
All right. So what I did was I stayed with her. Right. And as she was talking and she was like, well, maybe it's not going to work out. Maybe we can do something else and we can. I'm not hearing. I can't hear any of that. I got to get them clothes. I'm driving around this place, go to Men's Warehouse. They don't sell men's clothes. I go to Ross. They don't sell the boys' clothes. I go to Target, and now I go to Target, and she's on the phone. I'm on the phone with her the whole time. And she is just like, oh my gosh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not going to make it in time. And mind you, it's like 10:15. 10:15. The bus was supposed to leave at like to load the bus at 10:30. Still in Target putting stuff together. I finally get everything together. It's like 10:25 or something like that. Mind you, I'm calm, cool. I'm focused. I'm not worried about what my wife is talking about. I'm like, I have a job to do, right? My parasympathetic system was there, right? And I was locked in. And I went and I got all the stuff together. I got to the school. We got him dressed up, got him on the bus, did his hair, everything like that. He looked good, went off, and mission accomplished. And then what ended up happening?
It was real simple.
Simple.
It's simple. I'll give you a story. I'll give you a story, something similar like that, right? Go ahead.
Wait, before you share that story, real quick. I just want to make sure I'm clear with this, all right?
Yeah.
Right. Because someone might come back and say, well, Keith, you actually in your sympathetic nervous system because you were locked in and focused and you use the stress the right way. You actually would be correct. However, I didn't start out in the sympathetic nervous system. Right. I was in my right mind in the parasympathetic nervous system. And the mission was, okay, you got to get the boy clothes. Right. You got to get his stuff put together. And so then I shifted into the sympathetic nervous system, but it wasn't panic, right? It wasn't panic.
Big difference.
I was focused. I used that same energy, that same stress energy, the cortisol. I use that to focus and lock in. And I found him shirt that matched with his tie and his belt and his shoes and his pants. And I found everything. So I wasn't panicked. So I started off in the parasympathetic nervous system. I got the plan. Then I used the energy provided from the sympathetic nervous system to execute it. And that is how leadership is done, right? But
I'm gonna hop onto that one because here's a perfect scenario. Yeah. So at the hotel, we had a shooter situation, right? A shooter situation, people was panicking, running around. When you see a shooter situation go off, you see how people really react in a situation like that because they're scared for their lives, right?
Yeah.
And people are coming up to me, even my coworkers, and it's like, Gordon, how can you be so calm? I'm like, I've been through some stuff that you couldn't even imagine. This is what makes me focus, realize, and guide and encourage to be the right person because people panic. That's the first thing. It's cool. That means it. But if they're having, like we talked about earlier, there's only a losing. You only can, what do you call that? There's only learning situations from a losing situation in the beginning. Because there's like, you're so calm about it. It's like, you in a shooter, people are panicking, people are trampling over people. And even my manager's like, what the hell do we do? And it's like, geez, it's like, this is where you shine in every situation by having that emotional control and actually acting like nothing is normal. Because if you get reactive, you're just joining the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Once you start joining the crowd, the panic starts setting in. You're no good to nobody. What do you think they train in the military? The same thing. What do you think you train in fighting? You learn to be calm so you haven't been anything else. But look at this one. The 11th man in the wild. What is this one, Doc? Authenticity is the ultimate the filter.
Yes.
The case study, the dungeon master. Doc is about to go off, I can tell.
Yeah.
I see it in his eyes.
So, when it comes to again being the 11th man, when it comes to that guy.
Oh, Doc just went off. Added has joined. What
Bring it back. But when it comes to that, again, all authenticity is the ultimate filter, as it says. You being yourself is more than enough. It is literally more than enough. And also, not only is it more than enough, but it's absolutely critical for you to be yourself. I cannot stress this enough. We
Number
don't
one, be
need
you.
more copies. We need the authentic version of you, because there's something in you that's going to resonate with somebody else, right? That's why there's always room at the top. You understand? There's always room at the top. But because everyone's not going to reach everyone. There's some people Tony Robbins can't reach. He's one of the best in the world.
True.
And there's some people
Yep.
he cannot reach. There's some people Dr. Eric Thomas cannot reach. There's some
True.
people Les Brown cannot reach. And Brenda Bouchard cannot reach. There's some people Mia Gordon cannot reach. But maybe through your authenticity, through your experiences, through your perspective, you could reach people in whatever your area is. But if you're not authentic, if you're not being your real self, then for one, you're killing yourself and you're killing your prospects. For two, you're not going to have real people around you that love you for who you are, because you're always putting on a show like you're a court jester. That's not fair. Right? That's not it at all, right? You know, and too often, again, we live in a day and age where you have these people telling you what it is to be a man and all that stuff like that, and how you have to do certain things, like kind of talking like this right here. Right, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Dungeon Master, the Dungeon Master case study, that if I'm not mistaken, that has come from what's it called? Oh man, that has come from. Sorry, something popped up on my screen. That came from the Man's Guide to Women, and again, Dr. John Gottman, where he was saying that there was this guy who he's playing Dungeons and Dragons. Right, the way they described it leading up to it, was like he's this master and he's like controlling his domain and his realm and everything like that. How the woman saw him and she was like all in a ooh and on and over and everything like that. And it was like, yeah, there he's playing Dungeons and Dragons. What? But what's the real message behind that? He's being his authentic self, and he was shining. You shine the brightest when you are being your authentic self.
Just be you.
That's what draws people to you. Listen, moths are drawn to the sun, right? They're drawn to light. It's the same thing, right? And the things that don't like it, so they run away from it. So your authenticity is going to filter out the fake relationships and allow you to have the real authentic ones. But you got to be yourself. Don't try to be like anybody else. Don't try to mimic anybody else. Be your full authentic self. Again, you were enough when you were born. You didn't have to do anything else to change that, right? You're enough already.
Right? I mean, it goes to say, like it says in the slide, right? If you own your weirdness, it becomes your strength. If you hide it, it also becomes your shame. Yeah. Like Doc said, be yourself, be who you were meant to be. Because at one point in time, like all these alpha males and everything else, because some of them I know personally, they all kind of cash the checks their ego can provide because it's a persona. The persona cannot do something later on because everything will come into light. And once you get exposed, it crashes down even worse. It happened to me, right? Because the persona that you have, for example, you have to kind of like keep putting that persona off of what? A false pride that you have about yourself to be validated by somebody that from other people that doesn't even want anything from you, but to take from you. And then once you get that, right? And like, say you do it for the right people, your wife, your kids, and that whatever you got going on at that time, like you said, Doc, you will become your authentic self and people will leave. Who gives a shit, right? Let them leave because it wasn't meant to be a bonus in your life anyway. That's like correct. You said, Doc, the ones that's supposed to be in your life will understand.
Yep.
The ones like, and it happens with all of us in prison. The ones that are real last. The one that's fake, we're just gonna run them right off the yard because
it's true.
They'll get killed straight up. Right. And that's just the bottom line. And then I hate to put in drastic measures like that, but it does happen because somebody will see the falsehood behind you and walk right over you and call your bluff. Once that shit happens, you better be able to, in fact, you can't even explain it because you be a fraud. And that's what's happening a lot right now. Look at this. The parable of the 4 lepers. Next slide.
Oh, do we even have time? Okay, because this is the second to last slide.
We did good time, actually.
Okay. All right. So, if you've been following us for any period of time, again, I always say this, when it comes to the Bible, This is my favorite story. It's not even a parable, actually. We need to change that. It's not a parable. This actually happened, right? So I forgot what book it's in, probably one of the Kings, First or Second Kings or whatever. So this is going over Israel, right? The kingdom of Israel. Give you a little backstory on it. They were wicked. They walked away from God. So God's like, okay, cool. Do your own thing. Worship all false gods. And this is what's going to happen. And then I believe the kingdom of Assyria circled around the city of Samaria, right? And if you know anything about war and tactics, sometimes you don't have to fight your enemy. Sometimes you can just starve them out. So what they did was they encircled the whole city. So food couldn't come in. Food couldn't go out. They couldn't get help. They couldn't send for help. None of that stuff like that. So it was like, cool, it's a waiting game. We're just going to sit here, wait. They're going to starve. They're going to start getting weak, and then we'll run in and kill them, right? So city was starving, and there's these 4 lepers, and right? And if you know anything about ancient history, you didn't keep lepers around other people. Like lepers were kept in like their own communities and places like that. So these 4 lepers were outside the city walls. And I'm going to the reason I'll share why it's the reason why my favorite story as well at the end. But they're outside the city walls. Right. And if you know what leprosy is, it's like I don't know if it's a bacterial or virus or whatever, but your body starts rotting. Parts of your body start rotting off. Your nose, your skin, your fingers, your fingernails, your toes, things like they start rotting off and falling off. Right. I think Resident Evil with zombies when the bodies start falling apart. Right. And so these guys essentially are destined for death, for lack of better words. But they have a dilemma. Right. They're not thinking about their leprosy. They're not thinking about their situation. They have a dilemma. And the dilemma is we're hungry. We need food. I got to eat. Homeboy, you're rotten. I'm not worried about that right now. I'll pick my finger up later when we come back, but I got to get something to eat. I'm hungry. So these 4 guys are sitting there talking, right? So then they have a decision to make. They said, we only have so many options. We can stay where we are doing the same thing we've always done, which is probably waiting for people to bring us food, but it's not going to happen. If we stay here doing the same thing, we're going to die. Yep. And they said, but when we can go into the city, maybe there's something in the city. They said, well, for one, they don't let us in the city, but for 2, the city don't got no food either. If you read it, they were eating babies. They were eating donkey heads. They were eating all that stuff. So they're like, well, we can't go back, right? Because if we go back, we're going to die. So if I stay in the same place, I'm going to die. If I go back to where I came from, what I used to do, how I used to think, how I used to behave, how I used to act, I'm going to die there too. So what's the other option? Oh, the other option is, well, we can go to the camp of the Assyrians. Now, mind you, I want you to think about how crazy this is. Those are our enemies. They're literally in the process of trying to kill us. They're literally in the process of trying to do that. But they said, well, I can't go back and I can't stay here. And while, yes, going forward, I might die. Well, shoot, if that's just going to happen anyways, if I stay here, I'm going to die. If I go back, I'm going to die. I might as well take my chance. Maybe I won't die. Maybe I'll go out there and maybe they'll give us some food. Maybe they'll have some mercy on us. And it just so happened that God created a miracle where they were walking for what I don't know what they were doing, but they created such a ruckus or a noise was amplified or something that the Assyrians actually fled and left everything behind, all their food, armor, and everything like that. So they ended up getting the food. Why this is my favorite parable? Because it applies to our lives right now, your life right now, because you've been in the same spot all this time and nothing's changed. You still don't feel like you're enough. You still have self-doubt. Your marriage is still on the rocks. Your kids still won't talk to you. You still don't got no money. You're still not making any progress. You still don't know your purpose, and you keep doing the same thing. And then you might think, oh, let me go back and do what I used to do, because at least when I was in the club, I would have a lot of sex, or at least when I was by myself and divorced and single, I didn't have these stresses, or at least, but you're dying here. You go back to that, you're going to die there. Why not just, hey, listen, I might as well try link up with Boundaries and Brotherhood. Let me just see. Let me just see if it changes. Yeah. Right. Worst case scenario, it doesn't. Right. And if it's like, oh, well, I don't got the money. Listen, what do you want? You already have blown money on things that don't work. You've already got the alpha male program that didn't work. You already bought books that don't work. You've already done all these other things that don't work. The cigarettes don't work. The drugs don't work. The alcohol doesn't work. The prostitutes don't work. The spending money on women hoping that they're going to love you don't work. Right? The sacrificing yourself don't work. You already done all these things that don't work. You might as well be like the lepers and like, let me just give it a shot. Worst case scenario, it'd be the same thing that happened before, right? This is what they said. Worst case scenario, we'll die. But that's all we got on our plate right now. So if you want to stay the same and you don't want to go nowhere, and you don't want to make no progress, just stay where you are or go back to what you used to do. That's it.
Right.
But if you want to change, if you want to do something different, if you want to get your help, right? If you want to get your life on the right track, I would suggest you take this story and you apply it to your life and be like, dang, well, let me just go forward. And let me also say this and give it my all. Not just go forward with this, well, nothing works, so I'm just going to try this, and if it doesn't work, well, it's just not going to work. No, those lepers weren't moving like that. They simply said the end point for that is death, and if it's death, we've already got that back here. So they were moving with expectancy. They were moving with energy, because whatever they were doing, God was able to amplify, make it sound like an army was coming against them. So you need to move with that type of urgency in your life. When you hear messages like this call to action, you got to do something with it. Don't just be like, oh, that was a great message. And I'll say, so yeah, you got to do something with it. So that's the four lepers, man. That's the four lepers, right? You got to move forward. Staying where you are right now, it hasn't done anything for you. It's not going to do anything for you. You got to move forward. And if you don't move forward, then, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. Another book's not going to do it. Another podcast is not going to do it. You got to make a decision. You got to wake up and make a decision and say, I want to change. 2026, you know why I said 2026 is the year of execution? I'm not going to sit back and plan. I'm not going to sit back and have the self-doubt. I'm going to execute. I'm going to get up. I'm going to move. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to move. I'm going to do everything in my power to execute on every single idea, every single piece of self-improvement. I'm going to execute. You can do the same thing, the exact same thing.
100%.
Decision to do so.
I want to give a shout out. We have this guy named Dwayne McKinney ready. He's been here for the whole 2 hours on this workshop. I just want to give you a shout out. I just got, I got some of my guys that's in here, and I just want to give a shout out to the President's King, Mr. Ka Ying. He does the same thing as us right now, and he's watching it. And I just wanted to give a shout out to him because a lot of the times you have choices, right, guys? If you're not watching this if you're not watching this and you're not seeing the slides, because the slides is a situation where you can go back with your old behaviors. You can stay where you're at right now to be content, or you can move forward to the unknown and take a chance at life. Some of the things that we have out here in this channel that you're watching streaming, whether you're streaming it on the Boundaries and Brotherhood YouTube channel, the Facebook channel, my personal Facebook channel, we're streaming to all these things right now. And I got my phone to get you got going on, because at the same time, we want you to apply the workshop messagings and the techniques so that you can move forward, even if you're afraid, right? Because sometimes you don't know what the unknown, like Doc said, right? Doc sees this every day in his profession, right? So it's like, when you see so much things going on in his profession as a couples therapist, as a men's confidence therapist, a real life therapist, giving you this type of free game, right? Why not use it to apply? Because the game I give to him also, he goes and applies it. And we feed off of each other on a daily basis, because we want you to move forward to the unknown and be comfortable with it. Because the three options you're going to have, it's like being a drug addict or a criminal. You can go back to what you're knowing. And I feel sorry for my friends that's still doing the same crap. You can stay stagnant and work and do other things and that's cool. But what if you take a chance to do something different for yourself? Because all that growth you're going to have, you can pass it on to somebody else that needs that help, right? And I got my old manager. I hope you're doing fine right there, Mr. Tolentino. He was one of them that affected my life when he see me move from the beginnings when I just got out. Thank you for that, my brother. But at the same time, a lot of the times people are just afraid. Afraid of what? There's zeros and ones. One is confident, zeros is negative. It doesn't track any different way. It's binary, like you said, right? Last slide, the sovereignty system.
All
On the
right.
screen,
So
on the screen, guys. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're watching this on TikTok. Number one, it says kill external validation. I'll let Doc explain it. Number two, set unapologetic boundaries. Three, keep the promises. Four, regulate before you lead. And fifth, be the 11th man. Doc, we went through this, but I
yeah,
want you to close this out, my brother, because this has been a good one. I
yeah.
gotta say.
Well, no need to go. I mean, hey, listen, if you want, I won't go back into everything, right? I mean, you got it all in the workshop already. So I want y'all to hit the replay, but this sovereignty system, right? You'll being the 11th man, being able to take full control and mastery over your life. This is how you do it. This is what it looks like. It's not. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process. It doesn't have to be a hard thing. You just have to be willing to do what you need to do to change. And kind of like Gordon was saying, action beats fear. If you're scared of staying the same, or you're scared of opening up, and you're scared of being vulnerable, you're scared of whatever it is, right? Action beats fear. But, and by doing what we were talking about in this workshop, taking those actions, you're going to start destroying your fear. And here's another thing as well. Notice, right? If you're scared of something, you start doing it and you just start moving, that fear starts to slowly go away. It starts to slowly go away. I'll give you a perfect example. Even last night, I joined a kickball league. And
Wait, what?
when I was going out there, I was like, oh man, I can't catch. I'm so scared. I said, listen, I'm out here now.
Are you there?
Come my way. I'm on first base.
You there?
Come my way. I don't got time to be scared. Here it comes. Put your hands up. Put your hands around it. Right. That was
All
it.
right.
Pretty good. I did pretty good, in my opinion, anyways. Right. But what happened when I started doing that? The fear started going away. Why? Because the brain, again, is trying to send those messages. Oh, no, gosh, if you mess up, no one's going to like you. No one's going to want you on their team, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, oh, no, but we're here already, brain. Brain, we're here already. Too late for all that. If it doesn't happen, it's just going to be what it's going to be. And then guess what? It's like, okay, well, then shoot, let's lock in then. Let's lock in. Instead of being, because we didn't stop it beforehand. You understand, anxiety is designed to stop you beforehand. But if you're already in the mix, it's too late for anxiety then.
You done.
If you're on stage talking, it's too late for anxiety then. It's time to show up, right? But when you prepare properly, and again, this is obviously people who have prepared. They already have the skill. They already have the talent, the gift, and the ability, which many of you men already do. Once you get on there and you start moving, and then the real you shows up and you show out, fear doesn't sit there anymore. There were times when I would have my heart would be beating out of my chest before I hop on stage. And guess when I hop on stage, brain's like, well, didn't stop them. So I guess we just got to do a great job now. And I get out there and just kill it, So execution, again, is so important. It's so important. When you kill that external validation, you set your realistic boundaries. I got it over here. You keep the promises to yourself, right? And then you make sure you regulate before you lead. And matter of fact, regulate at all times. Stay regulated, right? Stay regulated at all times. Stay regulated at all times. And because guess what, Gordon, I want to share this and then I'll wrap it up.
No,
right?
go ahead. I mean,
because when I say stay regulated at all times, some people might take it as be stoic at all times. It's not what I'm saying.
That's not it. That's
what I'm saying is know what you feel, know why you feel it, and then be able to respond accordingly and appropriately to whatever that feeling is. Nice. So if you're hurt and you need someone to open up and vent to, then you could do that there. What I'm saying when I say stay regulated, I'm saying make sure you're in control of your emotions. And whenever you're experiencing those emotions, make sure you're doing it in a way where it's controlled and it's supposed to happen, right? But I don't want, if I'm in a war, I don't think it's the right time for my partner next to me, my ally next to me, to break down and cry about childhood trauma. Sir, I need you to get it together right now because bullets are flying our way. Like, I mean, no disrespect, but I'm going to need you to regulate and recognize that I could possibly die if you're on this and I'm trying to cover you. So that's what I'm talking about when I say make sure you stay regulated at all times. Know when and where and how to express your emotions the right way. And when you do that, guys, you become the sovereign man. You become the 11th man. And your life, again, it will never be the same. It will never be the same.
Doc, so let me ask you this question, right? After doing this workshop and stuff like that, what would be the big promise while working with us? Guys, if you're watching this on TikTok right here, You can go onto the YouTube channel, watch the slides. I'll put the PDFs in there. We have a blog channel. And if you want to see what we're all about, right? You can go on to assessment.boundariesandbrotherhood.com, take that assessment that Doc's created to see where you're at in life. What are some of the big promises on a value basis by working with you personally and working with us as a team? What will they get? Well,
So first and foremost, you get your life back. I think that's the
nice.
biggest thing, right? How many of you have put yourself in the back burner for so long you don't even know who you are anymore? You don't even know what you like. You don't know what makes you feel loved. You don't know what gets you excited. You don't know your purpose. You don't know nothing. You just put yourself in the back burner for so long. Like, what is that worth to you? What is that worth to you? Because that's a promise. That's what we get you back to yourself, who you really are. You know, where you can start living your life authentically. That's a massive promise. And attached to that promise is you're going to improve your relationship. If you're married or in a relationship, you're going to improve your relationship. You're going to be able to start improving, because now when you start working with us and you start working towards helping you find your purpose, find your passion, now you can start moving and living a life of fulfillment. What would that mean to you? When you feel like you're just a cog in a system where you feel you're replaceable, moving from that to feeling like, no, I'm not just a cog in the system, I am the system.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just
it has meaning, it has purpose. If I don't show up and give my 100%, things are going to happen. Lives are going to be saved. Ask yourself, what would that be worth to you? What would it be worth to you to be able to finally regulate your emotions instead of hiding in the dark, instead of having all these walls up, instead of having private breakdowns? What would it be worth to you to be fully engaged with who you are, and to be fully authentic and be able to stand up and communicate and share your thoughts and your feelings and not to worry about, well, it's going to be used against me? What would that be worth to you? Because you can get that as well. You know, Gordon, I mean, the promises could go on, but I mean,
oh yeah.
What would that be worth to get your life back, to really start living again? Like, that's huge. The promise. That is the promise.
I mean, here's what I'm going to promise you, right? When you're working with somebody like me and Doc, you have insights that nobody else can give it to you. You're going to be able to have a clearer personal, professional relationship with not just you yourself, but the people that come around you to make even your team better. You're going to have more time and energy for your priorities and what you have in your purposes, what you got going on. And you have a stronger self-respect and peace, not just for your inner nervous system or what you got going on, but you also learn to command it at will. And these are just some of the promises that we can provide because we have done it for ourselves and the people that we touch, right? You're going to be able to heal some of your trauma and understand where it came from, because that comes from someplace from deep within that we can be able to pull out together. Because this is not therapy, this is coaching. Coaching brings the best out of you so that you can be in a place that you're comfortable with, so that you can regulate yourself in a way that people can gravitate with you and have that performance that you know you can get, or that you know you can do, to live in your true potential. Because if you don't live in your true potential, guess what? You're just like Doc said, you're just gonna be a cog in the wheel. You're just gonna be a number on somebody's sheet. You're just gonna be an employee with a number that nobody's gonna care about you, and you're gonna get taken advantage of, right? You're gonna be able to assert your personal needs by being like showing boundaries that you have, so that you can be comfortable with yourself and be proud of it, right? Because a lot of the times it just needs a little nudge in the right direction from somebody that's been there, done that, and can see it in you that you don't even see in yourself. Because when you get to that point, Doc, right, that's when a lot of things change. Your family, the people you treat, how they treat you, what you're going to do, the confidence you're going to have. And it's as simple as ones and zeros. Like Doc said earlier, it's binary. We're going to take away the zeros and just keep stacking up the ones. If you can do that and be comfortable with it, life will change. And once life changes for you, life changes for people around you, right? Because once people then they kind of respect you. They're going to look for you. Now you just become you're not just a commodity. You become the authority of your own life.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got a little deep right there. We press the cassette. We're gonna press the cassette tape. But guys, I hope you enjoy this workshop. And I love Mr. Dwayne McKinney. Thank you for staying on. For other people that's on here. Um, guys, if you're a creator, one of our proud sponsors, look into this alert pop, message us, and see if we can get you on the bandwagon to get away from those energy drinks that's unhealthy for you and stuff like that. Doc, any closing remarks that you have before I close it out also?
Nah, the only thing I got for you guys at this point is just to execute.
Execute.
You know, if any part of this resonates with you, you know, I know it's a lot, you know, and some of these things we can go so much deeper in. We've gone 2 hours. I think honestly we're supposed to stop at like
Doing more.
So to be honest, you know, but if anything resonates with you, execute
Please.
on it. Execute on it. You know, and always remember, like, as long as you have set your mind and intent to find the solution to your problem, you will find a solution to your problem. I cannot express that enough. Even if it seems like there's no way, you must not give up. You have to keep going forward. But as long as you're willing to execute, you will solve whatever issue you got going on, and you will become the 11th man. You will become a sovereign man.
Beautiful. Guys, if you're watching this, I wanted to say thank you for just staying on. Somewhere along this video is going to pop up. You can either subscribe at the bottom or you can watch the video that's going to be popped up for you from last week. Guys, it's been an honor. Thank you for letting us serve you in a way that's needed, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, follow, hit the notification button, and leave a comment, guys. If you're on TikTok right here, go on to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'll probably leave the PDF for this workshop so that you can go over it and take the assessment, guys. We'll see you next week. Doc,
Guys,
it's been a pleasure.
Take
Aloha.
care. All right, y'all take care. Have a good and blessed day.
Boop. Ooh, I gotta end that now.